Welcome along to Friday Forum Live, our weekly broadcast coming to you from Point Blank here in East London, where today I'm joined by producer and Point Blank tutor Freddy for an insight into how you can get that MPC workflow in Ableton Live 9. So as I say, Freddy is going to be taking us through how you can emulate some classic hip-hop production techniques and the famous workflow of the MPC 2000 in Ableton Live 9. Friday Forum is your chance to ask questions as well, so you guys make sure you post up in the chat room and we'll do our best to respond. Just before we get into it, I've got to give you a quick roundup of what's been going on this week at Point Blank. So first up, we have the full range of Point Blank London courses getting started in January, on January the 13th, and we are down to the very final places. Head over to pointblanklondon.com and get in touch right now to sign up. Also, we have the full range of online courses getting underway on January the 6th. Just head over to pointblankonline.net to check those out. And finally, we've uploaded a brand new tutorial to the YouTube channel. Subscribe now and you can get all the latest stuff straight to your inbox. This latest installment is from Ski, showing you how you can make music with the iPad. So yeah, that's enough from me. Freddy, talk us through what you're going to be doing today.
Okay, so today we're going to do some old school audio manipulations using some real live drums and some samples picked from vinyls, and make it fun basically. Try to get a workflow where we are playing stuff as opposed to watching a screen. And using any controller, we're using push here because we got push. We may as well use it, but you could replicate that technique with any controller as long as it's velocity sensitive.
Yeah.
I'd say, you know, keys are fine, but pads do work better. We're going to drum. Okay, so without further ado,
let's do it.
I dive into
let's
it.
do it.
We've got a bunch of brilliant live drumming picked from the most famous 50s, 60s, 70s records. And we'll pick one. Let's go for Barry White here. So before I start, I should say obviously that if you are going to use some copyrighted material like these ones, you have to seek clearance from the label who owns the rights, okay? Sweet. So we have here a drum loop. Let's listen to it. Classic. Brilliant. So what we love about these samples is the feel. Look at the swing on that snare, the feel of the drummer. We also want the sound of that sample. It's been recorded through some proper mics, been played on a great drum kit, I'm sure. Went through some outboards, some mixing desk, and it came to us with all that process. It has that sound.
Yeah.
And that's what we're after. We also want to capture the groove, the swing. So before I do anything to this file, I'm going to extract the juice, extract the groove out of it. Couldn't be easier with Ableton Live. You right-click onto the clip. You've got an extract groove function right there. Hit that. Ableton Live creates what we call a template, a groove template. Places that into your groove pool on the left there. Hold on, it's doing it. There it is, okay? So we've got it here. Barry White, I'm Gonna Love You. Right, so that's my groove. I'll leave that aside for now. We'll use it later on. Now, in order to be able to play this file, play it back to my own way, I'm gonna need to quantize it to a certain extent. I just want to quantize the downbeats and the beats, basically. So Command A captures the whole file, Command A selects the whole file, and then I'm going to go into my quantizing preferences here and set it up to every beat, a quarter here. And you see just basically on the beat, we got a new watt marker that has actually lined up that to my beat ruler. However, notice how the in-between sounds, the hats, and some of the kicks have kept their swing. All right, I just want the beats to be quantized. And now, I'm going to set this up so I can play different slices, different parts of this file, okay? The first one will sound a little like that. Again, okay, slight click towards the end. The clicks appear when you're slicing a file when the waveform meets that zero crossing line there. So just move that off a little bit, a nudge, so there's basically a silence right there. And if you hear that now, no more click towards the end. Right, let's duplicate that once. And we have now a copy of that clip. We just moved this time the little triangle here. That's the starting point. That's the end point when your loop switch is disabled, okay? Let's hear that second clip. It starts with a snare and has some hats behind it. Duplicate that once more. Actually, the second one, remember I moved that snare off a little bit? Yeah, you know, I was about to forget that. Let's replace that right on the beat. We want that to be as tight as we can. Good. And I'll move this time to the next part, which is actually starting with a hat and has a kick later on. And duplicate once more to finish with. And I'll go for the very end of that loop and go and grab the final drum roll towards the end. I think it's kind of moved that wrong. Let's just move that back here. Let's hear that. It's a bit messier, but I quite like it too. Great. Right, let's play that. I could go into my session mode on my push and there the clips are mapped. However, this doesn't give me access to the velocity control of the pads. Yeah. And I do want to implement some velocity control. Therefore, I'm going to user mode. And that means I can remap these clips manually to my pads. Right there. Hit the clip, hit the pad, a little number comes onto it, and it's enabled. You can now play from the pads. However, we want a spontaneous flow. We want these clips to respond to our tappings, you know, as spontaneously as we can. Mm-hmm. So there's a trick here. You multi-select your clips using Shift on your computer keyboard, and down at the bottom of your clip view here, there's a little L icon. L stands for launch. Quantization, place that on 16ths. All right, and maybe a little velocity control that changes the volume of your clip and responds to your velocity, your pad's velocity. So this gives me something a lot more playable now, a lot more reactive. Got it?
Yep.
Brilliant. How fun is that? Let's try. We're going to capture our play in real time using our arrangement view and the ability in Ableton Live we have to capture stuff in real time. Let's place the metronome on. We need to follow the metronome, makes sense, yeah? And we're going to start recording using that main record global button here next to the transport bar. And let's have a jam until we're happy with what we get. Shall we do it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I think I got a good one there. I'm not going to carry on too far out there. Let's listen back to it. So back in the arrangement view now, press tab to switch there and hit that button to play back what you've actually played. Oh, look, I had my loop switch enabled. Loop switch was enabled. Let's see. Yeah, that'll do actually. So that's quite cool. Let's Command L to loop it. Yeah, that's a good loop. Okay, cool. Sweet. Command J will consolidate that as a unique loop now, one piece. Okay, there we are. That's our loop. So now we have recreated a different groove using this technique. We can now manipulate that further using Ableton Live's arrangement view editor. It's kind of obvious in Ableton Live that we have a warping editor at the bottom of your screen here. That enables you to actually quantize your sounds and to mess around with the flow of the file. That's kind of commonly known, but a lot of people, when you start using Ableton Live, don't realize that there is another audio editor in the arrangement view right there. So we're looking at the same file right there in two different editors, the warping editor at the bottom and the arrangement editor here. With this editor, we can do stuff we couldn't do with the other one, as in erase a part of the file, grab a part of the file, copy it over to a different location, duplicate the file, etc., etc. Let's undo all that, and let's try to do some cool stuff. Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab a snare here. I'm going to copy it towards the very end here. And you see now this snare is separated from the rest with that clip. You see two different clips. Yeah. When you highlight different clips here, it actually shows and demonstrates and reflects that in the other editor. You see this is white while this is gray. So that that basically reflects the selection I've got in the other editor. So I can now, for example, reverse that part of the file without affecting the rest of the sounds. You see this is not reversed and that's reversed. It sounds a little like that. Great. Bit too long, I'm going to change its length here. I could also, if I wanted to completely transform that sound, I could change its warping mode into texture, for instance, to create something a little glitchier. That's way. I could grab a part of the file, Command E will split it away from the rest. And while it's being split, I can now change its transposition, for instance. I can change its volume. I can change all sorts of things. And let's get that a little quieter. You see, this is great. Okay, so we get some nice little movement. It's amazing how fast we can do that, how spontaneous, how user-friendly this is, and how quick. It would have taken us hours on an MPC to actually do all that. Right, I'm happy with that. Command J consolidates into one clip. Hold the clip while holding it, press tab once, and that moves over to the other side, and you can drop it there. Right, so we got a cool little groove going now. Listen back to it. Great, that's good enough. However, I would like to reinforce a little bit the groove. I would like to superimpose my own kicks and snares in there to try to get something a bit tougher, because the production today requires obviously much tougher sounds and we need as much control as we want over individual sounds like kicks and snares. So I'll create a new drum rack and I load some kind of sounds in there, some kicks and snares. Let's just do that. Drum rack. We've got some drum hits there. Yeah, it's a heavy snare. Let's just load that onto D1 and grab a kick drum. 808 sounds like a good option. Drag that in. Now, we used to have to map the position of each kick into our MIDI clip by ears, by eyes, whatever. However, Live 9 has brought the solution to that with that convert drum to new MIDI track function. Just hit that, Ableton Live analyzes the position of your sound, creates a MIDI clip out of that. Here it is. Good. So that's the position already mapped for me. Amazing. Let's delete the hats. I'm not interested by that. Let's move the clip over to my drum rack channel track, and let's hear that back. Yes, that's right then. Right, that's the exact same position. Let's make the snare slightly shorter with the envelope here. Bring the velocity down a bit. Less velocity changes basically, a bit more constant. Same with that kick drum, slightly tighter and less velocity here. Let's match that against the other loop now. Let's see how this happened. Ooh,
sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you're never too sure with conversion, but that worked pretty well. Well, that's well and good. So we're kind of like matching, you see, mimicking the positions here. However, I don't recommend you actually layer kicks in this manner. It's going to sound kind of boomy and muddy. So when we do layer kicks, we'd like to have access to each individual kick, control their EQ, their compression to really morph them into each other's, layer them properly. However, now it's merged with kicks, snares, and hats in that same file. So I'm going to extract the kicks out of the file to clean this up and get a better...
And replace them with the ones...
And replace that with my own kicks to get a better symbiosis between the MIDI and the audio here. Right, back into my arrangement view now. I'm going to solo that track. And I'm going to replace every kick drum with some hi-hats. Let's do that. I can't really hear the hats just now, but that's fine. Cool. Just grab some hats and replace that. You want to vary. You do want to vary the hats, so there's a kind of a logical sort of continuous sound there. Yeah, so cool. I'll replace that here and that there. Cool. I grab this guy here. Yeah, there's two different kicks here. Let's grab this and replace that here. Yeah. Let's move that over. Replace that guy and that guy. Okay, let's hear it back. Kicks are gone.
Yeah, very good.
Cool. So let's just highlight, consolidate as one file, bring that back to the other side. Let's play that back against my own groove now with my MIDI playing back and see how this works. Yeah, that's working. Good. I want to clean that file up a touch though, because it's kind of muddy. Let's bring an EQ onto that audio file, audio track. Let's remove the mud out of that with a high pass filter. Clean that, because there's some rumbling low frequencies there. You can see it on the spectral analysis, you see.
And I guess it's a kind of live drum recording. It's going to have all that.
It's bleeding, there's mud, We can clean this further using what we call the warping mode here. Leave it on beat and get that gate mode going. If you drop that value here, you will be able to staccato the notes. So there's a bit of space, a bit of silence between each sound. Yeah, it's a bit tighter.
Yeah,
it's a bit more dynamic that way. It's like bringing the sustain and the decay down on a sampler, really, what we used to do, really, but that's much quicker, obviously. One more thing, I'll compress that because I want to bring the hats up closer to the snares. So I'll go into beat mode, catch the top of the snares with my threshold, and bring the attacks quite up so I don't actually damage the whole punch of that snare. You see how the snare gets much louder and it gets caught. You can see the gain reduction happening here. Bring everybody up with that. Make it gain. You see my threshold is set right above the hats volume. You see when the hats are playing on their own, the threshold is right above it. And that basically brings the hats up into the mix. And that against my kick. Yeah, so I've got some nice control. I can edit the kicks and the snares to my will now. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Most definitely, yeah.
We got this groove. Remember, I extracted the groove.
That's right.
So I had to quantize that file in order to like reorder it, and so to be kind of tight and not cut the sounds where it could have created clicks and stuff. That's why I had to extract the groove first and then quantize it to do these manipulations properly. However, I do like the swing. I click hold the swing in the groove pool and load it, drop it right onto my clips, so that now both the MIDI and the audio are swung in the same way. Therefore, you know, integration, groove integration there. Let's hear it. Remember, you got the groove amount here. That would swing it more or less. I quite like it, quite strong there. If you do want to see how the swing affects the sound, if you visually want to see it, we can hear it now. It's a bit baffling how you can hear it, but you can't actually see it. If you want to see it, down on the bottom left corner, right where the groove was loaded in your clip, you have a commit button. If you hit that, look at the sounds, boom, they boshed, they moved around. If you look carefully, that's how much swing we just implemented, okay? So you can actually see it now.
Which is what we saw in the original file at the very start.
Yeah. We've now re-implemented that onto the audio. However, once you've committed, the groove amount doesn't affect it anymore.
Okay.
So that was just so you can see it. But in fact, I would not commit it because now I've got the groove amount right on the top
more
corner.
Control there, yeah.
I can change that if I want to later on. So there's no need to do that, in fact. It's just so you can see it. Great. Well, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Shall we finalize this? Look, I want to show you some really cool stuff. I'm into sampling. That was kind of sampling already with that drum roll. I got given a whole bunch of vinyls recently from my grandmother, if you want to know. And she had some awesome stuff. And I just grabbed all sorts of wicked sort of like orchestral. That's brilliant. That's Jacques Brel. It's the French artist. And listen to that back now. Okay, so a bit slow there. Place it on Complex Pro to start with. Let's listen to it back again.
Pourquoi?
Okay, that's him. That's his voice. He's awesome. I'm going to start here, on that sound here. Bum, 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 bum. So it's a little kind of wrong here. I'm going to extend that bit here and loop it. Let's make it faster because the original is faster. Dun, 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 bum. Oh, so it's a bit long now. Let's just shorten that up right there. And the loop as well. Takes a little. 1, 2, 3, bum. Right, it's a little long to start if I'm not wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, good. That sounds pretty much okay. Let's crop that. Bosh. And obviously I want to make that a bar long loop now, so I'm going to stretch that down, or compress it, you could say. And I'm going to kind of move that there. Let's have a look. Yeah, let's bring it back to the normal. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. That's fine, okay? Pretty much. Good. All right, so I've got this loop sample now. I want to manipulate that with my my controller, and I'm going to show you something I really like doing. I'm going to hit the pad while in user mode here. I'm going to hold the pad down. I'm still holding it down, and while I'm holding it down, I'm gonna go up the range 2 rows and tap that. Look at the clip. It's been assigned to a chromatic range. I love doing that stuff. It's brilliant. I'm also gonna make the clip a bit more playable, again, using my quantization like I did earlier on.
Yeah.
And we can do this. That's what I'm talking about. So we play that against the groove.
So you're going to play it in now, yeah.
Yeah, we just record it just like you did earlier
yeah.
on, and just jam, man. All right, let's do it again. Missed out. Shall we do it again? It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
I know you want to try. When you see someone doing that, you'll be like, can I have a go at it? It's super fun. Let's do it again. Once more, okay?
Go for
One
it.
more, okay. I'm having too much fun. Ah! That's it. Lovely.
Yes.
Well, okay, so you could have fun
Wicked.
for hours with that. It's brilliant. Yeah. So no need. What I'd like to point out is that most people would be tempted to load that into a sampler.
Right.
And the main difference with using the audio clip here is that as I'm pitching it up using my pads, I'm not changing the length of the sample.
Okay.
Yeah, so it stays in time. With a sampler, you'd have more, obviously, texture, morphing abilities, potential, but you wouldn't be able to keep the right length unless you use contact. But with Ableton's internal samplers, you can't do that. With contact, you can. But it's a lot more fun doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's it, really. That's an old school sort of flavor, old school workflow.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed that. This is one of my favorite demos ever.
So that's something you do in your productions all the time?
All the time. I'm a sample freak, so I just go and grab vinyls all the time usually from a bin. Usually people tend to chuck out their old vinyls. They don't know, do they?
No, not at all.
They don't have a clue, do they? So there we go. Orchestral stuff, whatever comes, whatever comes. So I've got, you see, from 20 records or so, I extracted about 20 samples, and that's it's usually at the beginning of the tracks. There you go. You do need to seek clearance. You can't really just use that as is. You'd keep the vinyl in the back. The name of the label is written. You contact them. You probably will get clearance if you're nice enough. And usually you'll have to give a little money ahead. But if the track is worth it, if it's your breakthrough track, if it's going to work really, it's worth.
And it adds so much to it, so much depth.
That flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
That flavor in that sample, dude, it's like proper creepy. It's stabbing in the back. So it would be hard to reproduce that.
Definitely.
And also it's got a crunch to it. It got extracted from vinyl. Once again, it's been through a whole process before it got to us. And that sound, this is what we're after. That old school sound. And that makes it. And it's well into Glitch Shop does that a lot now. It's all still the same techniques. That'll be adaptable to breakbeat, hip hop, dubstep, Glitch Shop. Any broken beat type flavor could do with this type of manipulation. Okay, and it makes things really fun. Do the bass line yourself with the synths, layer that up in there. That's it. You've got the backbone of your track is finished there. You can just embellish it with whatever you can now.
Amazing. And I think Ableton Live, especially 9, the workflow is just
you see how quick?
Yeah,
see how quick that was?
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you, Freddy. Thanks for coming down, man. That was wicked.
Always a pleasure.
And thanks to you guys for watching. Catch us here every week, Friday, 4 o'clock for Friday Forum. And that's it from us. We'll see you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.